Hello, this is London calling. I would like to inform you that you are about to listen to a podcast. The views of the host and the guests reflect only their own and not that of the community as a whole. I hope you enjoy the podcast. And now, Eddie, with his band, will play the banter section.
Hello, testing. 1 2 1 2. Oh God, it does all work. Okay, right. I better go on with the podcast. Here comes the intro. Hello everybody, this is the Ed Talk About Podcast, a podcast series talking about cosplay, Comic-Con, and everything else. I have been missing for a few days, weeks. Okay, I've been gone for about 2 months, and I really apologise for that. There is a reason behind it, and I wish it was because I got swept away by a millionaire and we went around the world and spent money, or I was recruited by a top secret society and trying to save the world here and there, or I don't know, I'm just trying to make up something else. I was going to take a break in December anyway, like I always do every year, and then January came around, but I caught, I think, the super flu at the end of December, and that just kind of rolled through for the next few weeks. And yeah, I was just not in a really good place to be doing podcasting. I also was actually also trying to do a lot of things with my branding. So one of it was that I was trying to move my website hosting from one platform to another, which took a lot longer than expected, and then I had to redesign it. Then the redesign didn't work, so I had to go back to the drawing board and anyway, so I've been trying to tackle one thing at a time, so I'm not overburdening myself, trying to work things out and trying to do this and do that. But yeah, thank you for all that kind of contacted me just to make sure I was all right, still alive. And if you didn't, don't worry, it's not a problem. You know, I don't expect everyone to contact me and things like that. But it's good to be back doing the podcast. It's kind of nice to be back on the microphone and talking to you guys. I hope my absence hasn't been too bad, but also you've been able to carry on with your life at the same time. Again, I don't want to sound like I'm the only thing that makes your life grand. I like I said, I do these podcasts for myself. So even if one person listens to it, or 10, 100 people listen to it, doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it's not the be all end all if if only one listens or 100 listen, but it's good for me to do something like this. So yeah, but what else has been happening in my life? But yeah, so basically so as I said, I got ill just after Christmas Day. So I was spending it with a family of mine, my sister, my nephew, and we were having a real good time. And then my sister hosted a party with her friends, which she said, "Oh, stick around, hang out," and I went, "Yeah, cool." And then literally that whole day, I was just getting progressively worse. And then I just got knocked out for that day and then the days afterwards, which to this day I still have a bit of a niggly cough, but I think, I don't know if it's something else now. I do think it's probably something else now, but and then do you know how bad my body's falling apart? This is absolutely true. No word of a lie. I have got pollen reaction. So on my new phone that I've got, there's a weather app on it, so I could tap on that. I didn't realise it gives me a pollen reading. And this recently, I looked at it and went, "Oh, the tree pollens are out. Oh, the tree pollens are out in force. It's causing my eyes to itch. It's causing my eyes to be gouged out of my." Sorry if you're a bit squeamish about eyes, but yeah. So I've been incapacitated the last weekend because that's when I was planning to do. This podcast has been on the books for a while. I've been meaning to do it for a few days, and the people I asked to join me, they got ill or they've had other plans that's now crept up on them. And look, plans change, and I don't mind if I have to then change my plans for it, because I have to realise that the podcast I did 4 years ago now, God, 6 years almost now, it's different to the podcast now. I was able to find guests very easily, and now it's a little bit harder now, a lot harder, but I still perverse through. And as I said last year, probably might have to do some of these podcasts on my own, which is fine. I just hope you don't mind hearing my voice. And if you do mind hearing my voice, I do apologize. Feel free to like not listen to the whole of this podcast. But I tend to do a 7-day checkup. Let me give you a bit more update to my mental health, shall we say, my stability. But yeah, besides being ill, I've been okay. I've been doing okay. I will admit that the flu knocked me out for 6, and I feel like it really took a toll on me a little bit, and it's only now that I'm building up my mental reserve, shall I say, trying to get back up onto my feet. I've been at work for a few weeks now, and things are starting to become a bit more positive now. I'm less running around like a headless chicken, so I feel like I've got a bit more time to do this and do that. I was able to get through a lot of the photos over the holiday period. I was able to. I wanted to get the MCM October photos done before Christmas, but when I got ill, literally I was bedridden. I had to like take a time for myself, so I've had to like really think about myself more than other people. So I've been doing other, I've been trying to catch up with myself. I was able to finish a photography project I was doing with Srilasia Cosplay or Cos, and they look absolutely amazing. Can't wait to show people those photos, and I think Srilasia has been sharing those photos on her social media, so feel free to jump on her socials to see the results we made together. And now I'm working on photos taken at MCM Birmingham. I still got a few other projects to go, so I'm trying to get through these photos as quickly as possible. So yeah, things like that. And yeah, I'm starting to be more myself now, which is great. And yeah, so that's kind of like not just the 7-day checkup, but just things that's been happening in my life. So anyway, I forgot to like title this podcast verbally at the beginning of the podcast. So just in case you didn't read the title of the podcast, we are talking about MegaConLive London, the con of two halves, as I'm going to be calling it in this episode. I was going to do the good and bad and the ugly, but as it's just me, I thought I'll just share my thoughts and opinions of the event. But I'll also be reading comments that I put up a couple of weeks ago about your experiences of the event, so that you are a little bit more informed about the event if you've never been, or if you share the same experience with someone else, or gone, oh, I didn't realise about this and that. So, yeah. So, what can I say about the event? So, let's start what it is. So, it is a pop culture event run by a company called MegaConLive, not to be confused with the American event called MegaCon. From what I understand, there's no association with each other. And yeah, it's an organisation that hosts Comic-Con around the country, mainly in London, Birmingham, Manchester, Dublin, and more importantly, Farnborough, which I don't know what the association is, why Farnborough is part of that list. I was joking with someone that has a bit of an air of the Simpsons monorail type of thing, where they goes through, Arkansas, New York, Springfield. Like, that feels a bit. I think I've got that wrong, actually. I think they were just naming random small towns. But anyway, I'm sure someone will correct me on that meme. But I always, that's why I never did a podcast on Farnborough, because I never went, and I feel like I can't do a podcast if I've not been to it or know of its background. So yeah, so this is the third iteration of MegaConLive London. I think they've had Birmingham for a few more years than London, and on top of that Manchester. But London was obviously on my doorstep, and I thought I'd just go because it's easy for me to go to. And I will admit that my perception of this event last year was really down, but actually when I attended, I went, oh, actually it's a lot better than I thought. This is actually a lot more cozier than I expected, a lot more more built up than I expected. So I actually really enjoyed going to the event last year. I will admit that. So I kind of have like the standard for my brain, not the standard for my brain, but the standard in my brain, how MegaConLive London sits. I expected to see more. I wanted to see better this and better that, more this and more that. So I was expecting to see and experience better things at MegaConLive. I think just to also say, I am not sponsored by them. Wasn't given a press pass or a creator pass or whatever pass the MegaConLive issue out. I just bought a normal weekend ticket, like any other punter, and just experience the weekend. And I feel like I can give a bit more of I like to think an unbiased opinion of the event, but like I said, I will admit that sometimes I do look at MegaConLive not with the best of light at times. So if it does come through that I sound a little biased towards that, that's your reading. And I won't beat around the bush about that opinion. But like I said, I hope I can be a bit more, I can be a bit balanced with my views. So as I mentioned at the top of the podcast, or the second top of the podcast, that I found this event to be, a Comic-Con of two halves. So what I mean by that is that, so let's deal with the 2 days. So the event is held over 2 days, a Saturday and Sunday. I'm trying to get the dates of it now, actually. I probably should have had the dates ready on my phone. Hello. I don't know if you heard the noise, but it is there. It's on the 24th and 25th of January. And I've got thoughts behind that, but if I remember, I'll get back to that point. But yeah, so it's held onto those 2 days, and as I said, I had a weekend ticket. I had a friend with me, hang around with me all weekend. So we got there fairly early. I think as soon as the door opened, we were probably about maybe 5-10 minutes after the doors officially open. And by the time we got there, the queue already was coming. So if you know the Excel, there's a east entrance and a west entrance, and the west entrance, the west entrance has that glass pyramid that goes towards the Custom House station. And by the time we came out of that, started walking down that bridge, shall we say, towards the glass pyramid, we can already see that the queue was coming out of the pyramid onto that large, so to say, top deck area before you head down to the stairs. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's okay. It's good. It's good to see it's busy and all that. So we joined the queue and started going into the halls, and then it didn't occur to me that until we got more inside that the line didn't go straight into the first hall where they were doing queuing to get inside of the main halls of MegaConLive. It actually went down the side of, I think maybe the 5, maybe went a little bit further to the 6 hall. Let's say 5, I'll be fair. Let's say 5 halls that MegaConLive held. It went all the way down one side and then looped back down the 5 sides into Hall 1 to get into the queue hall. And I thought that wasn't a good look for queuing. And part of me, I was like standing in the queue going, all right, the line was moving fast. I don't think I was in that queue for more than 10, 15 minutes max. So it's not like I lost a lot of time queuing. The queue kept moving. I'll be very fair about that. The queue kept moving, so that's always good. But I don't think that's I kind of think that type of queuing belongs to a very, shall we say, smaller event where may have a smaller number of staff members manning the queue line or this, that, and the other. I think MegaConLive, to its credit, has personnel. It's got a lot of people around, and I can't understand why that queue was going down that side and back in. It didn't look great. Now, as I said, I got there me and my friend got there quite early, and didn't have to spend too long in the queue. I was talking to other people throughout the day, and some people were telling me that, by the time we saw you join the queue at the back on the top deck, by the time we joined the queue, we were like down the stairs. Like, oh, really? oh crikey, I didn't realise the line got that long. Spoke to someone else, and they only just got in when I spoke to them. Said, oh, how are you? Oh, have you only just got here? He said, yeah, the queue went down to the tree area. I went, down to the trees? How's that even possible? Then I heard there's a now. So I will say this is, I only heard this, so I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't seen any pictures or anyone pointing this out in the comments when I put up about what was your experiences on social media, but I got told that it went as far down to the Novotel, and I just thought, this is not right. This is not good. So I think the queuing can be and should be improved for next year. Now, again, no one complained about how long they were standing in the queue per se. They just mentioned how long it was, and once the queue started moving, they got in quite quickly. Now, that says to me that the queue that those people were in were probably for the general entry, so they were just all standing and waiting for that queue to start moving. So that line might have just been built up over time. But when I heard this, I think, why is this a shock to MegaConLive of the number of people that turned up? They must have known how many people were going to turn up. They sold the number of tickets. I don't know if the weekend itself was sold out or not. I can't remember seeing anything about being sold out, but I just do not understand that that they didn't quite relate that the number of people that could turn up did turn up. And they might go, oh, but we thought some of these people would will come throughout the day rather than right at the beginning of their start time. Said, look, that people will try to maximize the costings to get into this venue, so I don't understand how they could have misjudged when people were going to turn up for this event. Which, yeah, I just think that was not, for me, not a great look of the event. So, like I said, I will say again, the queue moved very quickly, so I was in quite quickly. So, yeah. Not that I had a huge problem with this, but I can see why when I was talking to some other people kind of pointed this out. Like, security didn't, at the point of going in, seem to do much. So I had my camera bag with me, and no one really checked my camera bag. No one thought to check inside of it, see what I was bringing in, if there's any dangerous substance or things like that. Like, I think at that point, they want people to get through the queue. I can understand that, but now thinking back, the point of safety, I thought, oh yeah, anyone could have brought anything and things like that. And I think I was just reading one of the comments that got written in my comments, that people's some of their props were taken away, even though it was safe. Like, it was made out of balsa wood and things like that. Is it balsa wood? I can't. I'm just trying to find the comment for it, and I've clicked the wrong button. God, it's a good thing I don't work in IT. That'd be well embarrassing. Okay. Yeah, they don't mention. They just made out of wood. So it wasn't made out of metal or not, but it got. Yeah, they said it was too heavy. Yeah, so so they kind of moaned about it. Another thing I heard, which I think there was a bit of a miscommunication between organisers and the security. I did hear people talk about how a lot of people's aerosol cans were being taken away, and I mean, it's let's face it, Comic-Con is not the prettiest places when it comes to the senses of smell, with all those people, especially how much sweat that people build up inside costumes and things like that. So if cosplayers were bringing aerosol just to keep themselves either cool or be a bit refreshed, shall we say, I mean, let them keep it, man. Let them keep it. So there was, I don't know how long if that was going out throughout the day. Aerosol cans were being taken, but I only heard it during the early part of the day. So hopefully, I think they might allow people with their aerosol cans to go in. So yeah, so that's, like I said, at the time I didn't mind security being quick with things, but now thinking about it, I think, let's not have the theatre of security if they're not going to do much. If you're not going to do anything really with security, just don't have security. Put them somewhere else in the complex, maybe, or inside and things like that. So, now thinking about it, yeah, that's my point of view. So yeah, so when we got inside, I think I was a little taken aback that it was still the same 5 halls. Well, actually 4 halls. If hall 1 was taken up by the queuing hall, and again, I was a little disappointed. It kind of still had the same layout since you came in. You had the celebrities on one side. You had some sort of like areas to take pictures, or I think some what's it, displays for like costumes and there. I think this year was, oh no, I've forgotten now. It's been over a week and a half. I want to say Wicked, but I could be wrong. It could have been Doctor Who, but I might be mixing up my my experiences with a different event. I think you all know which one I'm talking about. But yeah, so that, that was that. Knowing that everyone was coming in to the hall at the beginning of the day, I said to my friend, rather than us starting from where we came in forward, let's go straight to the other end, to the back of the hall, to hall 5, and start weaving ourselves back down towards that front entrance, thinking that by the time we get to the front entrance, not front entrance, but the first hall, we can go out of the nearest exit that way. So when we got to the back of the hall, now this is a personal experience of mine, and I won't be apologetic about this. And to my friend, he might be listening to this, and he knows he'll confirm this. I went feral anytime I saw K-pop Demon Hunter stickers, badges, key rings, artwork, the lot. There were times I didn't even bother looking at the prices. I didn't even bother, how much money I had in my pocket. I literally looked at the artist and went, "Here's my money. Take what you need. I'm buying all of this." I hoped I got the right change back. And quite frankly, if they did take more than I want, did not care. Did not care. I didn't even negotiate some with a lot of the vendors. I just paid for what I saw. I always think in the independent artists, you shouldn't try to haggle too much. Look, I know times are tough and all that, but from my own personal view, we're all in it together. And so, if you can afford what they're asking, just pay it. Just don't quibble about it. But yeah, I went very feral about it. I only just realised, or just recently set up a shrine. Sorry, not shrine. No, I shouldn't say shrine. On my Calyx shelf, I've made space for all the. I want to call it the K-pop area, because there are like Blackpink stuff in the corner. Not much though. A lot of it is just K-pop Demon Hunters. So I may just add. I'll probably. I have taken a picture of it. I might. And I'll put it on online sometime, or on this podcast description, if you want to have a see of my shrine. Not shrine, the display I have for K-pop and all that. Anyway, enough about that. So I would admit, actually, there's a lot of independent independent artists, wide ranging of franchises mainly. I would say. Actually, the one thing I want to point out is that I didn't realise how popular Digital Circus was. I kept seeing the same character every so often. I go, this is weird. I don't think the other events I've been to, I've noticed this character being this popular. I think I've seen it about, but not enough for me to think, oh, this is a popular franchise. It's only at MegaConLive London I've seen this being, wow, this is really a popular franchise. Now, it might be because, as I see it, MegaConLive wants to be seen as a family-friendly event for families to go to. Kids go for free and things like that. And I'm assuming kids do watch Digital Circus. I've watched about a couple of minutes worth of it. Not enough for me to go, yeah, I want to watch this, but enough to go, I've made a kind of a judgment. I might try to finish off the first episode. But anyway, there was a lot of those cosplayers wearing that character from Digital Circus, so it's all good. People don't have to like what I like for me to understand. So yeah, it's good that there's variety out there. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, so there was a lot of those cosplayers about. I don't know if I saw a lot of Digital Circus merchandise that I saw. So yeah, it'd be interesting how people did store wise. Again, if you're a store owner. And we've not interacted, feel free to drop a comment in there. I did speak to a few store owners, and I think they kind of missed the boat on that. But yeah, so I think what I was saying is there's a wide ranging of franchises in there. I still don't know if it's anime towards or TV and film or OG characters type of thing, OG things like that. I think it's kind of a mixed bag of things, and again that's quite good. Like I said, I will admit, like, as much as I dropped quite a lot of money on K-pop Demon Hunters, I did notice there wasn't as many people selling that stuff. So I don't know if the bubble for K-pop Demon Hunters has dropped, or the artists they were able to get a table don't do K-pop Demon Hunters and things. I don't know. I feel like since the last event I was at was Birmingham MCM to this one, which has only been 2-3 months. No, it would have been about 2 months. I can't imagine K-pop Demon Hunters have dropped off that much. But like I said, I'm seeing it through my own lens, so I will admit that I will admit to this bias. I'm very pro K-pop Demon Hunters, so I will concede that there are other things around, and they need to be promoted more. So absolutely fine. So yeah, I really enjoyed actually the vast number of independent artists that I saw that weekend. And I was trying to methodically go through each store and buy things. Again, I didn't go out of my way to buy K-pop Demon Hunters. It just ended up that way. Again, I might need to see someone about that. But yeah. So I was going through it, and I will admit it took us a good 3 hours to get through one end to the other, looking at things, purchasing things like that. And I noticed more and more throughout the day, up to midday lunchtime, that the number of people coming in, it was getting more and more crowded. I'm going, oh, this feels just slightly uncomfortable in the 4-5 halls that MegaConLive had. Just how tight and crowded it was starting to feel. I'm not saying crowded and you couldn't move and all that, but at some points I had to turn around and go, no, can't go down this row. I was starting to feel a little anxious about the tightness of people. The crowds of people, I should say. So so I there were some aisles I didn't get to go down the first time. I had to backtrack and then go back down and things like that. I just found it a little. I was starting to feel that anxiousness creeping in with the number of people starting to populate in the hall area. So I was like, ugh. So come to lunchtime, I thought, all right then, look, it's lunchtime, I'm going to pop out and get some lunch, go to the Fox and just get something to eat. And I think when I popped out, I went, whoa, the number of people outside, in the tree area, around the complex, near the hotels. I went, wow, there's a really lot of people. Oh, wow, there's a really lot of people here. And the first thought that jumped to mind was, this feels like a post-COVID Friday MCM London. Again, I'm not trying to compare events to events, so forgive me if you feel like I'm doing that, but I'm trying not to. But I did have that feel of, there's a lot of people here. Wait, there's a lot of people here. Have they all got tickets for this event? And I'm sure I made that comment someone made that comment last year about how people can just turn up without a ticket and just be outside. Look, the number of halls inside is small for a reason. They might have sold all the tickets that could fit in there. It's widely known to me, at least. I'm sure a lot of the cosplay community know that, because there was an incident first year where security were butting heads with people taking with cosplayers and photographers who are taking photos outside of the halls. So they had to put a statement out for the second year to say, hey, we've spoken to security because we've only bought these 5 halls and technically you should be taking photos in here, but we've spoken to security, you can take photos outside of the halls in the venue and things like that. So I just thought, oh, but there's, as I said, there's nothing outside to say that you can't be here if you don't have a ticket. If you're only just turning up for get photos with certain photographers or videographers and things like that, and that's all you want, yeah, turn up. I'm not saying I see a problem in that, but I just saw the number of people outside. I went, oh no. But I did look around because everyone was given one of those paper wristbands, which I don't know if I like those paper wristbands, if I'm honest. I prefer a lanyard, if I'm honest, but then I'm used to a lanyard to a lot of events there. If it's going to be a wrist. If you're going to put one of those disposable wristbands or wristband, okay, it won't be as disposable and environmentally friendly, but I wouldn't want the paper one. I want the plastic furry one. Yeah, they may cut into the skin a little bit, but I feel like if I go to have a shower, or I'm walking around and I'm knocking my wristband onto things, it won't disintegrate that as quickly. But again, credit to MegaCon that the wristband actually did last the weekend. I did have a shower with it on it, and it did last. I think it's one of those. So I remember in New York Comic Con, I bought what was called a paper wallet, and it was made up of paper fibers, but I think it had a coating of maybe some sort of plastic glue or just glue itself. So it had a lot of rigidity and lastability to it. So I feel like that type of technology was used in the paper wristbands, but I personally don't like it. I felt like, oh, should I say this out loud? Oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know how closely the security looked at the wristband. I don't know if they just looked at the colour and went, yep, on you go. Because it did say MegaConLive on it, and I'll just leave it at that point. But anyway, I was talking about the number of people there and things like that. So I was getting really anxious about the number of people there, and anyway, I had lunch at the Fox, and I had a friend who joined me for lunch and things like that. So yeah, it was quite nice to just chill in the Fox for a little bit. So when I popped out and started taking photos, again, I will say this, I wasn't looking to take many photos that weekend. I just wanted to enjoy the weekend for me, for a change. I didn't want to but don't get me wrong, if people came up to, oh my God, Eddie, I've seen you. Oh, can we take photos with you? I'll take it. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't the weekend wasn't weather-wise wasn't the best. It didn't rain the whole weekend. I think it rained a little bit on the Sunday, but not horrific. It was cold. I think the wind was blowing on my lips, because when you get dry lips and it becomes a bit raw, so I can feel my lips being raw that Saturday and Sunday. And I know it became raw because on the Saturday night when I came back home, I decided to cook some shin ramen. I started eating it, and I went, oh, not only it's hot and spicy in my mouth, it's hot and spicy on my lips, because obviously my lips was just bare to the world, and it was really hurting for about an hour, I think. Not hurting her, but it was just definitely stinging a little bit. So yeah. Anyway, back to the event. So yeah, it was a bit crowded. Like I said, it wasn't. Sorry, when I say crowded, like I said, it was light Friday MCM to give people, if you've attended a Friday MCM London, that's the vibe I was getting on that day. And yeah, I like I said, I was walking around just chatting to people, watching people. No, watching people sounds really, really creepy, but I well, not like that. Just trying to catch up with people and things like that. So I wasn't really going too much out of my way to take photos. But the photos I've taken, I think they're all right. To be fair, I haven't actually reviewed them. They're still in my camera, so I probably should pull it out in a minute and just the memory card and just see what photos I've taken. And yeah, so I felt the afternoon, I think I was still wary about the number of people I saw, the crowd level I saw in the afternoon and evening. And yeah, I was a bit, I was a bit conscious about it. It's really weird that level of crowd started to worry me, but when I'm at MCM London, I think because I'm used to it, I'm expecting that level of crowd. My brain doesn't associate as danger of sorts. But that weekend, that Saturday, I went, ooh, that's a bit, ooh, like that. Maybe I'm trying to find holes. I'm trying to poke holes at the event. A lot of people were fine with the crowd levels. Again, I'm aware enough that I'm being biased about this. So if you guys didn't find that the level of crowd that big, that much, then fair enough. But I really thought that, look, you've got all these people outside in the concourse area, inside the halls. 5 halls is not being big enough. It's not large enough. That's clear enough. They really need to expand for next year. And that was my thought at the end of Saturday when I left the venue. And I really was ready to lay into this event, like this, that, and that. Oh, I had all these thoughts about the event. I will say, towards the end of the day on the Saturday, I did go pop back in to see what it was like, because I think there was a notion the last 2 years that towards the end of the day, the footfall really dropped off. But actually, I will admit that both Saturday and the Sunday, the footfall was still trickling. It was still moving around. It wasn't like empty and dead. Whereas I just didn't remember the last 2 years. It towards the end of the day, you knew it was the end of the day. There was hardly, you could hear a pin drop type of notion. But yeah. So I really struggled with a Saturday with the expectation of what I saw this year compared to last year. I really found I just found the number of people just a bit much for my brain to handle. So yeah. Now come the Sunday, and we all know Sunday is a shorter day and all that, and things like that. So there's less hours to shop and do things, take photos and all that. But I think me and my friends still turned up about. No, I think we turned about 10:30. I think, or close to 11 actually. And I only wanted to do two things. I was mulling over about things I wanted to buy. I went, right, I'm going to go to these stores, quickly buy them, drop my money, and then we can take photos. And again, the footfall that day was like, oh, this is interesting. The number of people that I can see around me has dramatically dropped. This feels like the level of a Sunday I expected to see. Interesting. So I was a lot calmer brain-wise and all that. So, yeah. So this is what I mean by the con of two halves. It felt like Saturday was really busy with people inside the halls trying to buy things, people outside the halls in the concourse doing their videos, people outside in the tree area, the hotel area, trying to do their videos, trying to get their photos, should I say, doing their group skits or things like that. I really thought the level of people really was different. It was vastly different, and for obvious reasons, I prefer the Sunday as a lot more chilled than I'm used to. I think it's because I didn't have a schedule that weekend. No, whilst I remember, I was meant to do a schedule. I really was meant to schedule for that weekend, but again, I was feeling ill. I was feeling a little run down. I didn't feel like I was in the right frame of mind to be prepared and all, be ready to do like a schedule this early in the year. There's a lot of things I was doing which I wanted to only juggle one thing at a time. So I didn't do a schedule in the end. I hope people are not disappointed in me and things like that. And I know there was a few people that I missed over the weekend as well. So again, if I missed you, I'm so sorry. I was just going at my own pace, my own thing. And I hope you're not disappointed that I didn't get to see you that weekend. Anyway, but the Sunday, yeah, I couldn't believe how quiet Sunday was comparatively to Saturday. Now, I don't know. I'm trying to see it from all points of view. So I do talk to a few store owners, over the weekend, and one of my store owners I was speaking to, I said, how are you doing? Taking money, and they kind of looked at me, just about okay. I mean, it's good. I think they said they made a profit, but not as much as last time, or similar things. They did mention about the digital circus, missing the boat on that, not able to get merch for that, and yikes and all that. I spoke to some other independent sellers, and one of them said, "Oh my god, this is the best. This is the best year I've had. This is the most takings I've taken at a MegaCon or any other event they've been at." So kind of a mixed bag around the venue that I was speaking to. So I feel. So when I saw the sun, I went, I hope the store owners I like to see and support, they will obviously get something out of both days, especially the Sunday. Not saying I felt bad, but I did go to one of my favourite store owners and just say, look, I'd love to buy this. Don't give me a discount. Take my money. Thank you very much. I think I did take more photos on the Sunday than I did the Saturday. Because again, I think my mind was a little more calmer. I was able to think a little bit more, and things like that. So yeah, so that's my tale of what I mean by a Comic-Con of two halves. I feel like everyone focused on going on the Saturday. Now, just thinking about it now, I don't know, maybe people got an idea of what MegaConLive is, and they go, I'll just go on the one day. Saturday's the only day I need to go, fine. If people bought a weekend ticket, they might have just gone, do you know what? There's only 5 halls. I've seen everything. I don't need to go the next day. Do you know what? I'm okay losing my money on that. Fine. Lose money on that. You know, so I don't know why Saturday was that busy. It's just a few theories in my head. So yeah, but it was nice to actually on the Sunday to speak to a lot of my friends who I haven't seen for a long time, especially over Christmas. Oh God, I forgot to do this at the top of the podcast. I mean, like, Happy New Year, everyone. I know it's February, but Happy New Year, everyone. Oh my God, about 40 minutes in, I've only just remembered to say that. I actually said, don't forget to say that, Eddie, on the podcast. Anyway, so I'm trying to remember what I did on the Saturday. Because I probably wasn't indoors enough to to really experience it again. Because like I said, I think once you go around the halls once, there's not really much you can go again, really. There's not like say, oh, I need to go back to do this activity or that activity. There were some activities. I think there were a few D&D tents that I saw. There's that Kidtropolis again, which is like 2 or 3 inflatable things and a bumper car. That's like, that's not... I swear the first time I went to a MegaConLive in Birmingham, the Kidtropolis had its own section and it had lots more inflatable. I could be wrong. I really could be wrong, but yeah, it seemed like the exact same setup as last year than it was this year. Nothing really was added or changed. I could be wrong. The bumper car might be all new. No, I'm sure I saw the bumper car last year, so I really did not... so I don't understand that area there. But anyway, I had an idea about how to promote this event. So pretend you're Dragons from Dragon Den, and there's me turning up, and I'm a representative of MegaConLive. Dear Dragons, have you ever wanted to go to a Comic-Con event, but do you know what? The Artist Alley is just not big enough. The independent artists, they're just not there. You know, I want to have an event where you will come to this event knowing that we are publicising as the biggest independent artist alley type of independent artists event for people to come to and see all these great artists. Because I really enjoyed, honestly, seeing so many independent artists throughout the whole weekend. I really did. Just to see all the different types of expression that people want to share with people, with fans. Like I said, I got so many artwork, key rings, and badges with people's artwork, stickers as well of K-pop Demon Hunters. You know, that really brought a smile to my face, and I just thought, wow, they really have packed in quite a lot of artists and independent sellers and all that into the halls. And I don't know. I'm not suggesting you ditch the voice actor, celebrity signing. You ditch kind of the social in the city and the TikTok stuff and all that. I'm not suggesting that. I kind of think that if MegaCon, and I am saying this politely when I say it in this term, if MegaConLive were brave enough to maybe add one more hall, honestly, if you just give that hall more space for more artists to come in and sell their stuff, honestly, and I think you promote that event as well as being a family-friendly event, it's an artist alley type of event, because I really think MegaCon could really like hone in on that and just push that out as the key point, the key thing that MegaConLive is different compared to other events around the UK. Just a thought. I'm sorry that I didn't realise how much I was rambling for the Saturday compared to the Sunday. Like I said, there wasn't much on the Sunday that I could complain about. I really did enjoy the Sunday more than I did on the Saturday. As I just mentioned, I really enjoy seeing all the artists alley, the independent artists, got lots of that. I think because also I will admit that I don't get to see many of the independent artists when I'm at other events, especially at MCM London, because I'm either on a schedule trying to take photos and things like that. That's going to change more this year. I think what I did schedule-wise in October, MCM London, I will carry that on. That my Friday and Sunday are my photo taking day, and my Saturday is my shopping day. Where, all right, it's going to be crowded. I'm going to have to be moving slowly, but mentally, I'm prepared for that. I'm ready to do this and do that, because I really found that the crowds quite problematic for me and really hard to get photos on a Saturday. So I might as well just use that as my shopping day, my chill, as so-called my chill day. Any other goods? I'm trying to think of any other goods. Yeah, for me, there wasn't many beyond the outside, many other good things that I've just gone, oh, this is better from last year and things like that. And like I said, I would love to see MegaConLive try to expand the halls, just add one more hall. But I will admit, I did say this to friends of mine when I was talking about this when the event closed. I said, if Saturday was a repeat of, if Sunday was a repeat of Saturday, I said if you don't add another hall, this shows quite a lot what MegaConLive, the organisers, are like. But seeing the Sunday, I'm like, if I was the owner, I'm like, I would be very hard pushed to go, oh, do we add another hall or not? Do we try to create more space inside so that there's a lot more people to see or spread out and things like that? Actually, another thing that I noticed, which I think was mentioned in the last podcast of this event, yes, there are seating areas outside in the concourse area, but if you don't want to go into the concourse area, there is bugger all seats inside. I saw a lot of people sat against the side of the walls, for seating. They're next to bins and all that, like those big wheelie bin type of things. So I didn't like that look, and I just think that if they extended the hall by one and create just seating just for people to sit down and chill for a little bit, that'd be a good use of space type of thing for indoors. But anyway, those are just my thoughts. But I think overall, I wouldn't say it was a good event this year compared to last year, but it wasn't necessarily the worst, comparative to the other years. I do really truly believe the first year of MegaConLive was diabolically abysmal. It was I said, I'm surprised if this gets another year, I'll be surprised. It did, but they improved. And that's all I'm asking, just improvements. And I don't think I saw that much of an improvement from year 2 to year 3. It kind of was like, this is us trying to stabilise, trying to be, let's not rock the boat. Fine, that's not a problem with me. If that's how you want to go about it, so be it. But I think if year 4, there's not much more change, and there's definitely room for growth, room for improvement. But if things don't change in some significant way in my eyes, or I wouldn't say insignificant, but just a noticeable change, I can't keep saying this, that it's improving anymore. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I feel like I've shared enough of my thoughts. I think it's time for me to read some of the comments that I posted on my social medias. Oh no! Before I forget, I mentioned this at the beginning of my review, and I said the dates of the event. I really have a problem that is literally, for me, 1 week before payday in January. Now, I am more than certain I mentioned this in the last podcast. If only they just literally delay this event by 1 week, so it's the last weekend for most people on the last Friday of the month, or even into February, because January is probably the worst months to hold an event where a lot of people's pay probably came in early in December, so they had to stretch that pay packet longer than they expected to. So, yeah, please, the organizer, if you somehow can just delay it by 1 week into the last weekend of January, I think you'll have a lot more happier people, a lot more people that can spend money. That's all I want to say. Anyway, sorry just to interrupt myself about going to the comments, but I'm about to do that now. A lot of the comments that I saw, I think was on my Instagram, both on the post, and also I did one in the story, so I will just read those off, and I will take it random order, but I think the one that came up most which I found a little disconcerting, shall we say, was that. So someone, okay. So I was talking to one of the store owners, and they actually said to me, "By the way, did you smell urine outside the area?" And I went, "No." And again, I just thought, I don't know. I just thought, did I miss something? Were they going a bit crazy? Were they just, was it like cabin fever? They were stuck in the halls a bit too long. But there's been a few people who have mentioned, yeah, didn't it not smell of, pee? and I was like a bit, yeah. I was so taken aback that I didn't see it. I didn't experience it myself. So yeah. So yeah, I just had to mention that. Someone else mentioned that 90% of the artists at Lee love art, but want to see a bit more variety other than prints, keyrings, pins, and stickers. I kind of get that view. I do understand that view, but I don't know what else they could do. But unless you've been invented, but again, we're in a very tight economy at the moment. Things are spiraling out of control. So you've got to do you got to make things and do things that will sell, rather than be too experimental with your product. So I can understand that. They also continue to say clear policy by MegaCon updated from feedbacks attendees, other than the hairspray being confiscated. So yeah, I can understand that. I can see that. I don't know about the clear policy. I don't know if there was any more clear than it was last year from my POV, but I could be wrong. And again, just the last one from the story replies. Someone just wrote, "So much better than MCM." Again, it might be because the number of people was vastly different to MCM, which is fine. I can see that. Like I said, I personally did. Like I said, I don't know why. I think I might have to start treating MegaConLive like I've got to see it as the same version as MCM, and try to tell my brain it's going to be crowded, it's going to be busy, just deal with it, Ed, type of thing. Now, to read some of the comments on Instagram, and I'll put a link in the podcast description if you want to read some of these or add some of your own to it. I'm just going to try to read it verbatim so that I don't misread anything. Anyway, so one person wrote, "The convention itself was great, had no problems at all in my experience. One thing that spoilt it slightly was how the security acted. There were many instances in which they were rude, seemingly acted of their own accord." As I said, I mentioned about security. Like I said, a few people mentioned to me about it, and I went, "Oh yeah, it's really I did now notice that." So I don't know what was going on with security. So who knows? I like to think that they know better. I don't know if it's the same company as ones that's used by other Comic-Con events there, or other events there. So it'd be really interesting if something's said to security for next time at MegaConLive. Someone wrote, I thought it was really positive. I didn't have any issues, and the space felt like it wasn't too packed. There was a good mix of merch available, and the tickets weren't extortionate. Right. I said it once last year. I'm going to say it again this year. So, luckily, my friend had a receipt from last year's to this year's one, and the cost between the two events was an increase of £2. Now that's nothing. That's nothing. Most people can afford to lose £2 to an event. That's neither here nor there. But I'll say it again. For effectively £25 a day, you get 5 halls. 4 really, because you lost that 1 hall to queuing. Now, if we look at MCM ticketing, it's a 3-day event for £100. That's £33 a day. So there's a difference of what, £8 a day? And look what you get for MCM London. You get, was it 10 halls or you get 2 banks of 10s. I'm sure of that, yeah. And now they've opened up space at the other end where you can go to the Cosplay Central and all that for £33, £8 difference. And people think this is the £8 difference. They think that I don't understand the math. I don't understand how people can math that and think MegaCon is better value. It's not. They say it's not extraordinary. I personally think I disagree with that kind of viewpoint, but that's on me. That's how I see the difference in costing. Yes, overall, £50 a lot easier to swallow than £100. I'm not denying that. But if you're telling me for value for money, MegaConLive is better, then I disagree. This person's not saying that it's more value for money for the event. I will say that outrightly. They're just saying the ticket wasn't extortionate, and I will agree to that. But in my so my brain just went one way rather than actually what they wrote weren't extortionate. So yes, I agree it wasn't extortionate, but I just don't think that anyone who says to me it was value for money, I disagree. But again, for my own thing. Anyway, someone else wrote it smelled bad inside, and look, we can't point the finger that, oh my god, it was MegaConLive's fault that it smelled. That's clearly something to do with the venue or something that happened on the day or something like that. Someone might have been carrying a canister of ammonia and spilt it outside. Who knows? But obviously that's not MegaConLive's fault or reasoning why it smelled outside. It wasn't in their control or things like that. But yeah, I personally didn't smell anything outside. But yeah, I think there was some other. Yeah, someone else. Yeah, said the exact same thing. So yeah, but no one's written why it smelled outside. And the last comment, as I was saying to other people at convention, we can all breathe and the stuff we in. Hang on, sorry, let me reread it. As I was saying to other people at convention, we can all breathe and the stuff we intended. So yeah, so a lot of people seem to enjoy the event, and you know, like I kept saying to people, I'm only giving MegaConLive probably a hard time because I think realistically they are the ones who can go up against MCM London, Repop, and they can help each other, push each other, and be better events, better, be better organisers and give the people a better experience. I never would have said that MCN is the best of, it's not the best of, it's not, so let me quantify a little bit better. Yes, MCM London is the best event, but I'm not saying because it's the best because it does this, it does that. It's just bigger and more. But bigger and more doesn't mean it needs to stop there. It needs to keep reinventing itself, really push the bow. Like I remember, they brought in stars from the MCU, like Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie. Where's that ambition to bring those people? They had costumes from the film, replicas or not. They had the costumes there from the event, from the films. Where's that anymore? There doesn't seem to be any spectacle or any real effort put into the events. And I really want MegaConLive to really pull up their socks and right, let's give, MCM London, run for their money. We may be a small event, but let's try. Let's do it. And if MCMs take notice of what MegaCon's doing and vice versa, I'm hoping they'll push each other to be better events and for us con-goers to be really invested and go, right, I really want to go to this event because they really pushed the boat and really gave us a good experience of a Comic-Con. So, yeah. So, that's the real reason why I give MegaConLive. They both start with M. I'm getting confused. It's late at night. I need to go to bed. But that's the reason why I want both of these events, especially MegaConLive, to really, be proactive and try to be more than itself, and do this and do that. And yeah, I will probably still go next year to London. Will I go to the Birmingham MegaCon? I possibly will. Probably not the Manchester ones. Are just a little out of my reach, but plans could change. We'll see how that goes. But I didn't actually think I was going to be talking this long on the podcast, so I hope you enjoyed it. I will start wrapping it up because, as I said, it's getting late for me. I need to head to bed. I need to sign off. But I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this review of some sort. I hope I wasn't too biased to one side or the other. I hope I was being as balanced as I can. I hope you understand the reasoning why I have certain opinions of this show and that. And things like that. Anyway, so let's end the podcast because, like I said, I'm sure you're bored of now hearing my voice. I can hear my voice starting to go a little bit, so I better sign off. So, if you are new to the podcast and you want to hear more of my podcasts, if you go to www.foodandcosplay.org/podcast, you'll find previously recorded podcasts, reviews with other guests. I usually have guests with me, but as I said, this week has been a bit difficult. Hopefully, it won't be too often. I'll be without guests. I need to actually record. I need to organize a few podcasts soon, so that I can batch record and then and release them, so that there's not too much of a gap between podcasts anymore. I think I will again change up the schedule for these podcast release, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, if you want to see my work. Or if you want to just do you know what? I haven't done one of these for a long time, and it shows. Anyway, if you want to see my links to my to any of my social, if you go to foodandcosplay.org/links, you'll see my social media links. If you go to foodandcosplay.org, you'll see cosplay photos that I've done over the thing. I'm trying to do some more. I'm trying to get back into written, so to say, like diary entries. I think I've actually thought of a good series for what it's going to be called. So keep an eye out for that. And I do have a Patreon. I try to do some behind the scenes stuff or some more inner thoughts about things. So again, I've been a bit lax about that. Again, I'm trying to tackle one thing at a time. I'm only one person that's running all these multimedia things. So forgive me for not like keeping up with those, but I honestly will try to get back to it. And yeah, if there's anything you want to know about me or have an idea for the podcast, drop me a message. I'll try to get to it as soon as possible and try to action if I think it's a great idea. So anyway, I think that is it. I think that's all I need to say about it. And on that, I think that's it. I will end the podcast. So on that note, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys!